And hello, I'm Dr. Tara Peters, and we are the Leadership Doctors.
We're really excited to chat with Michael Speigl today. He's the president of the Williams Automotive Group here in the Tampa area of Florida, and he is dealing with all the kinds of things that many of us are dealing with in terms of managing a business that isn't able to operate in its normal way during the pandemic. And so we're going to be interested to hear about what's going on in the various dealerships, stores that Michael is responsible for and helping to lead. And also, just in general, we're interested in hearing a bit about Michael's leadership journey and hearing his lessons from leaders that he can share with all of you in our series. And so, welcome, Michael.
Hey, thanks for having me. Really excited to be here.
Thanks for joining us. So let's get started. We'd like to kind of hear a little bit about your leadership journey and how you landed in such a cool job as the president of this automotive group.
Yeah, thank you. So I went to the University of Michigan, and right out of school, there was a company called Ethos Group that recruited at the University of Michigan. And they did income consulting development for automotive retail. And they hired me and put me in an account in South Bend, Indiana. So that is not a welcome place for any Wolverine. So I did find more friendly waters down in Florida not too long after that, where I went down to a small family group in the Bradenton, Sarasota area, which I spent 7 years. In 2010, was able to buy into a dealership, a Honda dealership in the Wesley Chapel area. And that was the first dealership that I had ownership interest in. From that point, grew it to Tampa Honda. And our auto group also has Wesley Chapel Toyota and now a Lexus store. So oversee the 4 stores here in Tampa. And it's been a great journey and learned a lot. It's a great business that not a lot of people consider, but a lot of hardworking people. And I always call it the smallest big business in the world. You know, we do $400 or $500 million a year in sales, which is a big number, but we're a very local business. You know, we are in your community, both in community service efforts and in business every day. So it's been a lot of fun and a great ride.
So, Michael, you've got a great background and wealth of experience, and so I think it gives us a really great insight because right now, you're a part of an industry that is being uniquely impacted by the coronavirus. And so for our audience today, I think it'll be helpful to them navigating their own reality in terms of what they are dealing with, for you to give them some insight in terms of how you're dealing with the operational impact of the pandemic, and then also helping the audience to understand really how you're leading and you know, the charge, if you will, with your team during this time of crisis.
Yeah, that's there's a lot there because there's a lot going on right now. But you know, for us, a lot of what we do is person to person. You know, we have a lot of in-face conversations, and I'd say those businesses have been the most impacted as social distancing and safety and just general awareness about health and what's happening in that space. So for us, our traffic has dropped probably 50 to 60% at this point, and it happened very, very quickly. You know, we're in the middle of March, we were off to one of our best months in company history, and by the end of March, it was, holy cow, how are we going to stay in business, and where is our next customer coming from? So it's been very, very much on the fly, but been super proud of the team of leaders that we have here and their willingness to adapt and to sacrifice for each other. And we've made a lot of difficult decisions. You know, we had staff reductions almost immediately when we realized that this was not going to be a short-term thing. And those were really, really tough conversations and tough things to have, where a lot of us have been here for a lot of years and we've gone to battle together for a long time. And to have to make some of those decisions was just wearing on everybody, mentally, physically, et cetera. And I've had a number of employees, you know, tell me and give me a lot of guidance even on my own job, where I like to be face-to-face with everybody. And I've had a number of employees tell me they don't want me traveling from dealership to dealership. They don't want anybody traveling from dealership to dealership right now because a lot of people are scared for their own health, and some of their family members are as well. And, you know, some family members are concerned about them still going to work. And then we have a lot of people who have been impacted financially, and they're scared about how they're going to make their rent payment and how they're going to make their car payment. And they have newborns and family obligations, and they're scared on that aspect because the business has been affected so dramatically. So there's been a lot thrown at us in a quick fashion, but what I would say is empathy has been the number one thing that we've been focusing on. That's our mantra. It's our daily word, because everybody's in a different situation, whether it's a customer, whether it's an employee, whether, again, it's somebody's family's been impacted. We just today, we have an associate who hit their 10-year anniversary. Today is their 10-year. And last night, they lost their mother-in-law to COVID. So what should have been a celebration today for that employee was now a really difficult phone call this morning. And, our heart goes out to him and his family. And when you see him, back at work, when he comes back to work, you may not know that that's what he or she is going through. And so we're really trying to understand that not everybody has the same opinion as you. And just because somebody has to show up to work to meet financial obligations doesn't mean they don't care about your safety or well-being. And somebody who doesn't feel comfortable coming to work because of their safety and well-being isn't on your team and trying to help you meet your financial obligations. It's really taken a lot of understanding on both sides, on all sides, for us to not try to guess what somebody's dealing with, just meet them where they're at and be happy for them and try to help them get through this tough time.
Absolutely. And oh my goodness, my heart goes out to him as well. And of course, many, many people who are dealing with similar types of situations. So empathy is a really important principle in the leadership role that you just shared with us. Of course, there are other significant leadership principles, not only in these difficult times, but across your journey as a leader. I know because we first met when you were an MBA student at Northwood University. And so I have had the pleasure of a lot of conversations with you and thinking about how you develop and grow as a leader. And so can you help us think about, and our audience think about, some leadership principles that really stand out as hallmarks for you that you try to focus on and that you strive for every day as you grow yourself as a leader?
Yeah, I think a lot of leadership principles are learned through pain. The Jim Rohn, I think, is famous for saying you're always going to face two pains. You're going to have the pain of regret, or you're going to have the pain of discipline. And so I think that is something that has stuck with me throughout the years. And, one of those pains very recently, I've always been very conscious about not asking anyone to do something that I'm not personally willing to do or going to jump in and try to do. Staff reductions is the best example of that. When we went through some staff reductions, we staggered the time so that I could travel to each one of the stores and be there to have some of those tough conversations and do it right with them, instead of, sitting in my office and say, all right, guys, now go make these staff reductions and let me know when you're done. It was really important for me to get shoulder to shoulder with people, to hug the employees who were, being reduced, and to console the one thing I think that people didn't give enough credit to is how difficult it was for the people who were surviving, but having to have those tough conversations. They would be very strong and brave when those conversations were happening, and they'd walk in the other room and fall apart. And being there for those people, and that was really, really important. And I think that one thing I'm working on getting better at, but is something that is very important, is empowering our leaders is something that's very important. I'm very hands-on. I love to be involved because I'm a lifelong learner. And I think the best way to learn is by being involved. But finding that balance of empowering our general managers to run their stores while being involved, but not being too involved. And I think that empowering our leaders is something that I think is very, very important. Hiring really good people and allowing them the freedom to fail and to be successful, because I think those two things come in hand. And I would say those are the kind of some of the things that we've focused on over the last 10 years here.
Michael, as you were talking, there was so much just rich thought there as you were talking about just the whole issue around how do you empower people. Made me think about, even for yourself, like recognizing where some of our blind spots are, right? And then working towards those areas to grow and those kinds of things. And so as you were talking, of course, Kathy and I have written a book about the demotivated employee. And I can imagine right now that that's a part of the landscape that you're also navigating as well. There's this survivor's guilt for those who are still employed, and while they're still concerned about their colleagues, their peers who are not, currently employed. And then just the stressors, the anxiety, right? The unknown that comes with that. And so really trying to keep your staff, right, motivated and up for the work that has to be done. So talk to the audience, talk to us about, what are the kinds of things that you're doing to help your employees to keep their motivation and stay engaged with the work that they're doing?
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest things that we've done over the years is we formed an employee culture team. And this employee culture team is comprised of people in different departments at different dealerships. And we meet once a month at one of the dealerships. And we have agendas. And everybody has, key areas that they're focused on. We break out into teams. And then we come back and report on the progress. And then, after we've completed some of those agendas, we move on to the next task and we assign new teams, et cetera. But it's been really rewarding to see our employees get involved in creating that culture and in creating that engagement, because that's really where it happens. Engagement doesn't happen from the C-suite on down. Engagement happens on the floor on the way up. And I would say that's one of the best things that we've done. We've really, that team has come up with some great ideas and some things that we've tried to do, whether that's family events or whether that's, leadership book club, whether that's, sometimes where we've had to support people and create some funds for some folks who are struggling. We've done a lot of things with that team. And I think that that's the number one thing I could point to and would encourage everybody to form some sort of committee around, even if it's a small 2 or 3 person committee, but having some group of people internally that are not at the top, that are focused on the culture and what does the culture of your organization look like.
That's a great idea. And I imagine that the people that are on the team as members of the different dealership stores are constantly looking for ideas and helping the people around them feel like they also have a voice in this. And so that is all by itself a great source of engagement, right? People feel like they get to create the kind of environment that they want to work in. And that's really a fascinating and awesome practice. So it sounds like it's working really well for you.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
it really has been great.
Yeah. Okay. So, as we have talked, you and I, over the years, and I know a little bit about your development journey. It was, of course, already mentioned that you worked on your MBA as part of your leadership development after you right about the same time, I think, when you first got involved in ownership of your first store, right? You had just started that, yeah.
Yeah.
So, of course, you were doing leadership development before that, and you've done a ton of things for leadership development for yourself, other than the MBA program. And so for the people who are watching this series and listening to your journey, who are thinking, boy, I really aspire to be an excellent leader, but I really don't know where to start. What should I do to develop myself? What kind of advice would you give them about things that you've experienced or that they might look into as they go through their leadership development journey?
Yeah. So again, there's a lot there, and if you want to be a leader at the highest level, it's almost a lifestyle. It's something that you do when you wake up. It's something you do throughout the day, and it's something that you do and think about when you're going to bed at night about the next day. But the number one thing I would say is investing in yourself is so important, and that can mean a lot of things. One of the most important, crucial, and cost-effective ways to invest in yourself is reading. Setting apart time every day, every week. I have 5 children and we have 4 dealerships with 500 employees and less now, but I understand what it's like to be busy, but still setting away time to read every day, every week is something that has been crucial to the development. I think that investing in yourself in training that you don't have, rounding out the edges. A lot of people love to spend on leisure and travel, but they don't often think about investing in some sort of training seminar or leadership seminar or speaking seminar or whatever their weakness may be. And it can even be fun things after, if you want to learn to play the guitar, invest the money to go learn how to play the guitar. But investing in yourself is something that I think people need to have a plan and a budget for every year as they continue to grow. So I would say investing in yourself is the first thing. Having an open mind to being a lifelong learner also requires you to take feedback at a really sincere level and seeking out that feedback. I think that one of the best things that I've been fortunate and blessed by is a lot of people who have been open to giving me feedback. I've paid for a number of different, anonymous surveys, etc. But I've also asked a number of people, what am I doing wrong? What could I do better? How could I be a better leader? How could I be a better speaker? How could I be a better father? In investing in yourself with the feedback or constructive criticism that you receive is super, super important. And some of the other small things that I've done, I've had a business coach a couple of different times and had good success with them as an accountability partner, as a growth partner. And I think that's another way to invest in yourself. They always use the analogy, Tiger Woods surely knows how to swing a golf club, but he still has a swing coach. So no matter how great of a leader you are or what you want to be, and again, I think that you almost have more to learn. Some people think, well, I can't get a business coach yet because I haven't reached the pinnacle yet. And I almost think it's more critical for you to have somebody like that. And again, those don't need to be paid. I mean, that could be somebody else who's a mentor to you, and you formalize the classes and you kind of give them the material that you want to learn and develop. And a lot of people you'd be surprised that are willing to jump in with you and dig in and help grow you and make that investment in you. So I think those are some of the things that I've done to invest in myself and would encourage other people to do as well.
Well, Mike, you've given us so much to think about and so much insight that we know is going to be not only helpful to Kathy and I, but to our audience today that's tuned in to Lessons from Leaders. And so we know that you've enjoyed what Michael had to share today. And so we invite you to head to our website to watch more videos where leaders are sharing insight, perspective, and really practical advice to help you to navigate this landscape. So you can go to our website, theleadershipdoctors.com, for more videos that are part of this series. And thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you, Dr. Peters. Thank you, Dr. Bush.
Thanks, Mike. It was nice seeing you.
Absolutely.